You're making one right decision today. You're listening to Handcuffs and Sage.
Three badass moms bringing you all the true crime and paranormal your heart desires.
I'm Red.
I'm Timo.
I'm Dre. And don't let your kids listen. Seriously, just don't.
Hey, it's Handcuffs and Sage. Woo!
Woohoo! Hey, hey!
This is Red.
This is Timo.
And this is Dre.
What's up, you guys?
Somebody has the giggles.
Dre, you hi, girl. You hi,
I'm just cracking up, guys. No, it just sounds like we're on such a delay. And then when I watch you guys talking, and then the volume comes through after you say the words, it's like I'm watching, like a foreign film, like Bruce Lee or something,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, gotcha.
I love it. Well,
You
hopefully
see?
we can meet in person sometime soon. So
Yeah.
Amazing.
We're zooming the podcast right now. So, we just got to go with the flow. We got to work it. Y'all, if you've been listening like the past couple of weeks, whenever we scream to a certain octave, it decides to shut down on us. So if you start hearing like these little pauses, it's because Zoom's like saying, shut the fuck up, you bitches.
You bitches.
You dumb
Not
bitches.
too loud.
Yeah. So
Oh my gosh. I
Timo
wanna give a
tries
shout
to-
out.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Timo tries to edit it out as much as possible, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense. So we just go with the flow.
That's all we
Mhm.
can do, to go
Yeah.
with the flow.
Mhm.
I wanted to give a shout out to Hilda. She is so fantastic. She listens to the podcast and she messages us, and I just love her so much. I'm giving her a shout out because
Is the best.
she is. Tomorrow, they have an anniversary and I have an anniversary. We have the same anniversary date, and I love that. So she messaged me and she was like, oh, I think we have the same anniversary date, and I just love it. So tomorrow, my hubby and I are celebrating 18 years married.
Holy shit.
Holy cannolis.
Holy
We've been
shit.
together almost 20 years. So it's 18 years married tomorrow. Time
That
flies.
is not
That's a
normal
long
in
time.
today's time. That is totally not normal, especially
I know.
when you guys got married so young. Usually it's like the young ones like grow up and they're like, what the fuck did I do? And then, you know what I mean?
I think the magic is you have to fall in love over and over again. And we have never fallen away from each other at the same time. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like every relationship has its ups and downs, but I think that we've weathered a lot of storms. We've had a lot of, good times too. And we thoroughly just kind of get a kick out of each other. And I think that's important. Like laugh a lot,
Yes.
have
Mhm.
fun with it,
Yes. That's my number one thing that I want in a relationship.
Yes.
If I ever get that, is I want to be able to just laugh every day, because that's what life's all about to me. It's just happiness and just laughter, and you know what I mean? If I ever
Everyone
find
needs that.
I
Yeah,
had it at one time, but I lost it.
for
So
sure.
let's get into the sad story. Into it, but yeah. So it's awesome that you guys have been together that long. It's bananas.
I
cool.
want you to have that too, Timo. I want everyone to have
sure.
that happiness every day, right?
Right.
It's work every day, but there's, things to laugh about every day. It really is a trip, man. It
Yeah.
really is a trip. It's a journey for sure. So how was your week? And how was your week?
Oh, how was my week? It was just my week. Nothing special. Just worked, and I'm having some family issues. I'm not going to get into that stuff because it's drama, and it's not good. It's not good times. But I'm just kind of dealing with that. So when I'm ready, I'll share it with y'all. But right now, it's in the early stages, so it's not good.
Oh, Timo.
Yeah.
I know.
Didn't know. I wish I was there and I could hug you or like do an
I
elbow
know, I know.
hug.
The good thing is I have a lot of family. They don't live here in California, but they've gone through what I'm going through before in the past. And I have two aunts that are like right there on it. So like I have them. They're upset too because they can't be here to hug me like they said, but I can pick up the phone whenever, no matter what time it is, whatever, and they'll take my call and they'll talk to me and whatever. So I kind of have that, but yeah, it's just going to get harder and harder and harder as it goes. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, but we'll see how it goes. I've kind of been dreading it, and I've kind of known that this was coming. So I think I was in a little bit of denial. So I'm past that point now. I kind of I know now what I have to do. So that's that. Yay.
Well, we're here for you. We
Okay.
know that.
I know you guys are.
If you need something,
Yes,
let
for
us
sure.
know.
Yeah, of course.
That's what family and friends are for, right?
Yeah.
You need to know that you can call somebody like, I need help with this, and that person shows up, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dre, how was your week?
So I had a regular kind of week. I've been decorating like crazy and crafting like crazy.
Yes.
Pants, yeah, super fun. It was really cool that you mentioned Hilda, because I know she was going on her like an anniversary day, but she wanted to make it family friendly, and so she had asked for some like places to go. So if you guys know any place that she might enjoy with kids, that would be awesome. I did send her on a little bit of a goose chase, but you guys, I have to send this to you because it was so much fun when I did it. My girlfriends actually took me on an oddities along the coast road trip for my bachelorette day. We ended up going all over the place. We went to the Madonna Inn. We went to go see the men's bathroom there. We took pictures and acted stupid. And then we went to Bubblegum Alley. There's a swinging bridge. Just all kinds of places. And along the 126, before all of this, we did, as a family, we usually do like the fish hatchery and the honey tasting farm. We end in Channel Islands and like we'll have ice cream on the boardwalk or whatever. So all these things I kind of like put in this long ass itinerary for her. And there's dinosaur caves. It's just I think actually too much for one day, but she'll gauge it and I'll just tell her like you know, it might be just like do the 126 and end in Channel Islands and have dinner there and whatever. It might
You know, there's one of those along the 126, and I have no idea where it is because as a teenager I went with a bunch of friends, but they have one of those gravity hills off the 126. You know what that is? Yeah, it's weird because you know how there's all the orchards and vineyards and stuff out there on the 126. Well, it's like an optical illusion. So the way the rows of the trees are planted, it looks like you're going uphill, but it's really downhill. So you put your car in neutral and it literally looks like you're rolling up the hill.
What a trip!
But you're actually rolling down a hill. But yeah, and it's so trippy. Like it's so trippy. And I know it's one of these little turnoffs off the 126, but we'd have to do some research and look into it because I have no clue if it's even there or if it's private property or what the hell it is. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
We should try it.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's close to home, so it's like we can totally do it,
Yeah. I love the 126. We grew up, I always grew up in the valley, but my mom always made it a point to drive up the 126, go to like Santa Paula. There's like this little hole in the wall liquor store that makes burritos. And I swear to you guys, I don't know why, but every time I go up the 126, I have to stop at this burrito shop. It's like a liquor store where the lady just makes burritos. And I'm like, I have to have my burrito, guys.
That sounds good.
So weird.
Yeah.
But we have like,
I want a burrito now too.
Sorry. Good memories on the 126 for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. Are we ready?
I think so.
Yeah.
Buckle up. You guys, this has just been a journey for me. I've been covering Israel Keys. So there's already part 1 and part 2 out. So if you haven't listened to those, listen to those first. I'm going to do part 3. I love this deep dive because I find it so interesting. Israel Keys is someone who isn't your normal serial killer, right?
Mm-mm.
He's someone who is able to have long-term friendships, work at a job for a long time without issues, seems to be a very, loving, caring father, and then, also like in a relationship. He doesn't have any kind of anger issues or a temper or anything like that.
So
And
crazy. It's so bananas.
It is bananas. It's crazy. And the planning, the meticulous planning that he takes years to do is just mind-boggling. And really with this case, what it comes down to is it was so meticulous that the reason why he got caught and even was charged with certain crimes is because he confessed to them, right? They didn't even connect the dots with a lot of these things. So I just find it very fascinating. And you guys know I love true crime, and Israel Keys is not someone that you really hear a lot about. So I think that's just really interesting.
So, hey, Red, I don't want to spoil anything. So
are you going to spoil this?
Tell me to shut up if I'm like,
Sure.
whatever. But does he have DID by any chance?
Not that I know of.
Because I could see that happening where your one personality is like the loving husband and the normal guy, and then the like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of thing going on, and then the other personality pops out and has that just like that desire and that lust to friggin' hurt and kill, all that crazy stuff. So I'm just wondering. I'm wondering if that was ever looked at in any way.
It was. I think what they came to is that serial killers really are able to compartmentalize way better on a next level than we can. I think we talked about this before, right?
You did.
We can be different ways with different people, right? Like you go to work, you say appropriate things, right? You keep it work related. Different than like with your girlfriends out having a good time. What's not normal is they're able to compartmentalize and be like, I am this way with family, and I am also this way, and it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And you'll hear that a lot. I'm not a bad person, right? I don't do bad things, because they have this other life. So it's really interesting the way that their minds work. And I think I mentioned this before. Let me know if I did. There's a new show that I'm obsessed with called Signs of a Psychopath. And I believe it's on Investigation Discovery. And it's not your typical show. So you're watching the interview of the killer just saying exactly what they did without any emotion. And it just chills you to the bone the way that they think about it with no emotion. There's no emotion, there's no attachment. And I think it's like one of the most frightening true crime shows I've watched in a long time. I watch true crime, I listen to true crime, right? It's just how I do my day. This is something that has really stuck with me.
What is it called? I'm going to write it down.
Signs of a Psychopath.
Ooh, okay.
So it's funny that you mentioned something. It absolutely is. But it's funny because you said that they didn't form an attachment. So I remember listening to a piece on like, I don't know if it was NPR or something, where they were actually dissecting the mind of a serial killer. Like physically, forensic scientists were looking into this, and they found that they have an actual, like their cortex or something is actually lower. And so you can do a CT scan of your brain and find out if you have this tendency to have that subcorp, I forget what it's called, but there's like something in your brain where it's like it's lower than the average person.
Right.
And so you
it's
could
in
have
your
that.
frontal lobe, right? And it's almost like brain damage almost.
Right.
It's smaller.
It's and you could have it and not become a serial killer, right? But the difference between a serial killer and a regular person is that they don't have that attachment. They don't form an attachment to someone or to something that makes it matter, right? They don't develop a sense of attachment to people, to love things, to loved ones, or whatever. And so there's actually a woman who she did a bunch of research on her own brain and found that she actually has all the tendencies of a serial killer, but she's not a serial killer.
I know that. I heard that. I know what you're talking about. I have no idea what it is, but I heard that. Isn't there some type of gene too that you can have that you're like kind of predisposed of possibly being a serial killer? I saw that on
chromosome. Yeah.
Okay. I saw that on Riverdale, but you know, that's the CW and that's all like make believe.
I've never heard about a gene making someone a serial killer, right? I think definitely the way you're raised maybe takes a big play in that. The best way to describe it was a psychologist was talking about it, and they said that the way that they look at human beings is the same way that they look at a coffee mug.
Right.
It's just a coffee mug. So there's no emotional attachment to you. Yikes. So if that coffee mug breaks, it's broken. There's no feeling behind that. And that just gives you chills that's how they look at it, that it is just what it is.
I don't know. There's some coffee mugs that I have that if I broke, I think I would be pretty sad.
That's because you care.
You're not a serial killer.
Excellent.
I actually have quite a few coffee mugs that I would be really bummed if they broke. So, yeah.
I get that.
I do too. Oh my gosh. I love it. I have a coffee mug that says more issues than Vogue. I have more issues than Vogue.
That's true.
That's
true story.
I found these two, just real quick. I found these two coffee mugs, but I use them as planters for my cacti. And one says, "You can't touch this," and the other one says, "Don't be a prick." And if those broke, I would be really sad. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think that's adorable that you do that. All right. So where we left off with Israel Keys last time is this motherfucker went on a cruise with his family. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, and he put the girl in the shed in the winter and she froze, right?
Yes, Timo. Yes.
He's like, "Peace out, bitch. I'm going on a cruise."
Mm-hmm.
Again, no attachment, right? There's nothing there, right?
Yeah.
So he leaves her in the shed. She's frozen. And him and his fam get on this cruise through the Caribbean. It's a 16-day cruise. And they get home on the 17th, okay? So when Israel gets home, he pulls her frozen body out of this shed, okay? He thaws her out with a blow dryer. And there's a reason why he's doing this, and it's absolutely horrifying. He then braids her hair. Do you guys remember how he knows how to braid hair? Because he braids his daughter's hair all the time.
Ew.
Yep. So he braids her hair. He does her makeup. He sews her eyes open. He then poses her body, and she is holding a newspaper, an older newspaper. He takes a Polaroid of her. So obviously he's trying to make her look alive.
Oh no.
He takes a Polaroid of her. He then dismembers her body and he takes it to this lake. This is a lake that's frozen over at the time. He cuts a hole in the ice. He dumps her dismembered body. And then he thought, while I'm here, might as well fish.
Oh my God.
It just like is mind-boggling. He fishes and he catches fish and then goes home and serves that up for dinner later.
He fishes out of the same hole that he dumped her body into. That's what he did, this motherfucker.
I know I shouldn't be laughing, but it just boggles my mind. It just boggles my mind. Like, what?
I think so. It's so crazy. It's hard to wrap your mind around.
Yeah.
People or this person did it. So he burns the rest of the evidence So he ends up cutting one of the braids off of her right before he disposes of the body. He holds on to her ID, her ATM card, and her phone, but then everything else is burned. The body is dismembered and then put in the lake. After he does this, after he dumps her body, he fishes in the lake. He comes home, and then he goes to a parent-teacher conference because he's a good parent, right? He's not going to miss that shit. And then he goes to work for a little bit. So he's just getting on with his day. Ain't no thing.
Oh my
Right?
gosh.
That's what he's doing. It's just disgusting. So we know later, of course, with this story, he uses that Polaroid as ransom.
Oh my
right?
God.
And makes his family think that this girl is alive. I think about that all the time. You guys can find this picture online. I looked it up. She doesn't look alive to me
Really?
in the
God.
photo,
Oh no.
but the photo is horrifying.
Okay, do me a favor, Red. Can you send me some of these links? Because I've been searching for the little TikTok video of pictures, and I kind of had to like double up on the pictures because I didn't want to show too much, but then like I couldn't find stuff on him, so I'm gonna need some of that. I don't know if I'll
Isn't
show
that
that
crazy?
picture because
Isn't that crazy that you can't
hoping,
find that much
yeah.
on him?
You know, because I got like in trouble with TikTok because when we did Dyatlov Pass, I decided to do a little, collage of the dead frozen bodies, and yeah, they didn't like that too much. So I got to be
TikTok
careful.
was not a fan.
I know, but you know what? I see shit on there all the time. And I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Is it the photo of her holding the newspaper?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen it. I'm seeing it now.
Oh no. Okay. Yikes.
It's so disturbing to me. Knowing that she's dead in the photo makes it worse. The family gets this photo, gets this ransom, and tries to rally it to pull this money together because they think she's still alive. I just think about that.
Terrible.
That's
It's
horrible.
awful.
Horrible, horrible.
So on April 2nd, 2012, a dive team does recover her body. Bobby Chacon, the one I'm in love with. Everyone knows I'm in love with Bobby Chacon. He's actually the one that's there. He's part of this recovery team. They had an underwater robot go under looking for her, and they found the body. He said something that just kind of like, it was something that I had never thought of before. He said that they were so happy to find her remains, right? And then a sadness, right? That these are her remains. And then when you reach out to like grab onto the remains to pull her up, your hands are the first to touch since the killer touched her. You were the first person touching her since that moment. And it just kind of like gave me chills when he said that, that they were there trying to, pull up her body after this terrible thing that happened to her. And it just made me deeply sad. You don't think about that and what the investigators go through and the emotional trauma that they go through and the things that stay with them. So that really just shook me.
Did the family pay the ransom? They paid the ransom?
They pulled the money together. Remember, they looked at the father because the father was really interested in pulling the money together for a reward and everything like that. What ended up happening is he got the money, but then he later took out money from her ATM, right? So they put the money in the account. He then pulled money out from several ATMs, remember? And they kept trying to follow up. Anytime they got a hit, the officers would show up, just crazy. So there's a lot of these interviews with him. You guys can definitely look this up. I listened to about 1 billion of these interviews. He laughs in the worst way during all of them. And it's so cringy. So just, a heads up with that. So they have this interview with him with the district attorney. Of course, they want to know if he's done anything else, right? What other crimes have you committed? Israel is about control. right? He does not want to give them information. He tries to negotiate the entire time. He's a total pain in the ass about it. The reason why he's doing this is he does not want any other information coming out to affect his daughter. He knows that everything will be linked to her with whatever he shares, right? So he keeps saying that over and over again. So he says that's the reason why, which is also interesting because a lot of serial killers like to talk about what they did, right? Because then they brag about it. That's not something he was doing here. So they would find bodies, but not evidence, which, you know, is very frustrating that they weren't able to find evidence to connect him because he was so meticulous and organized. And he was the one that would have to give them that information. Everything was on his terms. It was just so frustrating in all these interviews. If you end up listening to them, that you hear that over and over and over again. Like they just are so painfully patient with him because they want this information and he is just not giving it. It's really hard to listen to. So I'm going to talk about the Courier murders. Okay. So 2 years before the Couriers were killed, a kill kit was left in Vermont. The kill kit had a handgun, silencers, ropes, garbage bags, ammunition, a shovel, gloves, and Drano in it. So this kill kit was put in place, and 2 years later, it was used.
Oh my God.
So
That's a lot of planning.
It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of forethought, which is terrifying. So June 2011, Israel flew to Chicago. He then rented a car and drove to Vermont. He said he was going fishing. And he decided to kill someone. He just, all of a sudden, he was like, oh, you know what? I think I'll kill someone while I'm here because I have a kill kit nearby that I left. Disgusting. So we have a married couple. Bill Courier was 49 years old. He was an animal care tech at University of Vermont. Lorraine was 55 years old, and she worked at Fletcher Allen Healthcare. The last time this couple was seen is when they were both leaving work, and when they didn't show up for work the next day, people knew that something was wrong immediately. These two were very responsible and would not miss work. They wouldn't not call, right? So something was wrong immediately. People really liked this couple, really liked the couple. Keys did this weird thing where he would actually scope out a house and the layout of the house and then decide, is this a place I want to kill the people? Which is really interesting. It's not like he would see a couple or see a person and say, I want to kill them. He wanted to see what the layout of the house was. He seemed to gravitate to homes with an attached garage. He said if it was not attached, that was just another opportunity to be seen going from house to garage. So he definitely didn't want to have that. So he liked the layout of this house. On June 8th, 2011, the phone line was cut at the house. He came through a broken window, and this creeper was wearing a headlamp in the dark. I just think that's a terrifying thought of this guy in this home walking with a headlamp on. Just, I just hate this. So he goes in and he wakes up the couple. They have no idea what's going on. All of a sudden, there's a person in their room. They see this headlamp, but they're not quite sure what's happening, right? Imagine being in a deep sleep and then being woken up to this. So he has them take the sheets off their bed and he binds them both with zip ties. Now, he tells them specifically not to speak and not to speak to each other, okay? So while they're zip tied in their bedroom, he's kind of ransacking the house. He's going throughout everything, looking for things. He then goes back to the bedroom and he kind of is listening a little bit, and he can hear Lorraine talking about escaping. Like, we need to get out of here. We need to figure something out, right? And he, of course, this pisses him off. He comes in. he shoves her face in the mattress and is saying, you know, I'm going to kill you if you keep talking, right? You need to stop. I just want to burglarize the house. So that's how he's playing it off. Like he's not going to kill them. He's just there to steal things. Okay. So he puts them in their car and he drives away. They are zip tied and they're also zip tied to their seatbelts. And the way he's talking about this in an interview is just disgusting because he says Bill was in the same military infantry, the 25th Infantry that he was in. I don't know a lot about the military and how that whole breakdown is, but they had that common bond. And so Bill really tried to play to that, like, oh, you know, we are both in the service. We both did this, right? You don't need to do this to me, right? Kind of a thing. And he kind of laughs about it, like, there's no way I'm not going to kill them.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
nothing they could say,
So
right?
scary.
So he's telling them that he's taking them to another location now because he's going to ask for ransom, that he's working with other people and this is what they do. And they ask for ransom for people. So that's how he's playing this off. He had taken suitcases of their stuff with him. And he said that he put their stuff in one suitcase and his stuff in another bag to keep it separate so he can go through their stuff later after everything happens. So that's just how he thinks. So at one point, Israel Keys makes it very clear that if they want information about the couriers, then he wants a deal. And the deal is that he doesn't want the information to get out to the press, right? He doesn't want it in the media. He doesn't want it to get back to his daughter. And he wants the death penalty. He wants to be killed and he wants to die as soon as possible. He doesn't want to like live out in prison, right? So those are kind of his demands, if you will. Because Israel had been looked into for these killings, of course, they went to their home and took all of his girlfriend's items also. So they had taken like the girlfriend's car, computer, her phone, some clothes, right? They're looking for evidence, but it's affecting her. And he's talking about how it really sucks that she's going through this. Like she didn't do anything wrong and you guys are taking all of her stuff. And, you know, I'll give you more information if you just give her stuff back. So there's that weird dichotomy again, where he cares about his girlfriend and her stuff and how she's put out, but he also doesn't give a fuck about killing people, right? It's just so weird. It is so weird. So he takes the couriers, Bill and Lorraine, to this house. And the entire time they keep trying to say to him, we think that you've kidnapped the wrong people because we don't have any money. Like, we don't know what kind of ransom you think you're going to get for us, kind of a thing. They keep having this idea in their head, like there's just some big mix up and you've taken the wrong people, right? And so they keep saying this to him. He also had taken with him and set up in the home already a stove with like a propane, you know, to boil water, some latex gloves, his kit. So he had kind of prepared this home before taking them there. So he's a planner, right? He planned this out. So Israel Keys drives them out to this farmhouse. It's in the middle of nowhere, okay? And he takes Bill down to the basement. He sits Bill on this little stool. He ties him against a wall, okay? So then he comes out of the basement and he says that he sees Lorraine standing there. Like she busted her zip ties, got out of the car, and he sees her, okay? Yeah, she had broken free. And he was even talking about like, I need to get new zip ties because I've never been able to break out of zip ties. I've never seen that before. And she did it, right?
Oh my God.
Right?
It's everything that comes out of his mouth is just narcissism. It's all about him.
It's insane. It's crazy listening to these interviews. They'll make your stomach turn just listening to him, especially when he laughs. Like, it was crazy. She was out of the car. Just
Oh my
Ugh.
God.
Oh.
Yes. He says that she's standing there and all, she's wearing these, he calls them thongs, but flip-flops, right?
Uh-huh.
So he was like, how is she going to run in these flip-flops? Like, she's so dumb. And she tries to take off, and he gets her, he tackles her, he roughs her up. Imagine like getting, into a situation where you think you might get away, right?
I know.
No.
Damn.
Yep. So he roughs her up a bit. He takes her upstairs in this farmhouse, and he has already set up these 2 like queen mattresses in a room. He has her lie down. He grabs a bunch of cable ties and he duct tapes her. He ties her up with some nylon rope. He also ties her to the mattress, and he said that he had to do all of this binding and all of the things that he did because she fought like a motherfucker the entire time. Like,
Wow.
she was gonna fight to the death. And so he had to tie her to the mattress, and he kept having to tighten it because she was fighting, and he kept calling her feisty. She was feisty, just awful. So then he makes cuffs out of the nylon, and he ties them on one of her ankle, and then ties it to a rope that he had at the doorway, right? And then he does the same thing to like her other ankle. So then it's like she's spread eagle, right? She's totally tied up. She's spread eagle. She's tied to this mattress. So he says that she couldn't even move. There was no moving now because he has her tied so tight. And then he says he can hear something coming from downstairs. So it's Bill. He goes down. He sees Bill. The stool had collapsed. Bill was a big guy, and he I guess broke the stool. And the cable ties had broken. And he says, poor Israel, that he was getting really pissed now.
Oh God.
He was real put out that this just was not easy for him, right? So he's feeling a little pissed, and he was thinking, why are you trying to get away? Those are the thoughts going through his head. And Bill says to him, you can still let us go. You can still let us go. And Israel laughs. He thinks it's funny. And he thought to himself, you have no idea the planning I put into this. I am not just going to walk away. That's what he's thinking. Mm-hmm.
You know what blows my mind?
Mm-hmm.
He's telling us this story.
Mm-hmm. He is telling
freaking bananas.
this story. Mm-hmm. This is from his point of view. What happened?
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So he puts a knife to Bill. He then takes a shovel and hits him with it a couple times. Bill is fighting now. Okay. Bill is trying to fight Israel with everything he has. Israel is feeling annoyed that he had to deal with Bill because really he wanted to just do stuff to Lorraine. Okay. So he's very annoyed with Bill for fighting with him. He goes and he grabs a 22 out of his backpack. He said not a 40 caliber because I guess there was like a cop car across the street and didn't know if the cop lived across the street. So he wanted to keep it quiet. And then he put a gun with he put a silencer on it. He said that Bill would not stop yelling, and Bill just kept yelling for Lorraine. He just was calling Lorraine's name over and over and over again. And Israel says he is pissed off. He is done. He has the gun. He has the silencer on it. He puts his headlamp on, and he goes to Bill, and he starts shooting, right? There's a silencer on. So he says he sees the bullets hitting him, but it's very quiet, right? And he empties the magazine into him. So it's 10 shots. And Bill is standing until that last shot.
Wow.
Uh-huh. And then this motherfucker says, I'm so pissed I had to use that gun because I really liked it and now I had to get rid of it. What a piece of shit. So he said he watched Bill for a bit. His eyes were closed, so he wasn't sure if he was, dead or alive. I didn't even think about that. I guess, when you shoot someone, most of the time their eyes are open. So it like threw him off that his eyes were closed. I don't know. I've never heard that before. But so he watched him for a bit to make sure, he was dead. And then he went upstairs, and Lorraine knew something had happened, right? Lorraine knew something had happened. And then she realizes that he's going to rape her. And so she starts fighting again with everything she has. This is a 55-year-old woman, and she is just fighting for her life. Yeah. So he said that he had stuff with him in the interview. He's talking about how he had stuff with him because he had ideas of what he really wanted to do with her. He had prepared for this. He tied her up in a lot of different ways and did what he wanted to her in these different ways that he tied her up. So she was just tortured, this poor woman. He gagged her with duct tape, okay, until she wasn't fighting anymore, and then he choked her. He threw all the stuff away, their clothes, everything, that he's getting rid of all the evidence. But even though he choked her, she came to, okay? So she came to, but she's out of it, right? She's not thinking clearly. He walks her down to the basement, and he sits her down on a bench, and he says she's out of it, from being choked. He has leather gloves on. He puts a rope behind her, and he said that he used that rope like a garrote, and he strangled her. And just to make sure, he also put a cable tie around her and tightened it to kill her. And the way he talks about this, he has no emotion. He does not give a fuck. It is so sickening what these two souls went through with this guy. And then he's talking about how earlier he had been like looking at an apartment building in that area, and he saw a guy pull up in a yellow VW Bug, and it was raining, and he was thinking about grabbing that guy and killing that guy, but the guy, took too long to get out of the car and into his place, so he just decided to find somebody else. So he was going to kill somebody no matter what. Imagine being that guy, having no idea that some crazy serial killer was watching you and thinking, oh, that's who I'm going to kill. That's just crazy, you guys. That's just, thinking about that makes me sick. So I'm going to leave it there for part 3, because part 4 kind of goes into how everything kind of comes together, and, a lot more about the investigators on this case and other things that they looked into. This is just a crazy story. It just is so awful what he did. And then to be known as like a really great dad and a great guy. It's just, I guess that's what gets me and is terrifying to me about it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It really is awful. It is awful. So that is part 3 of Israel Keys. What
a piece of shit. Yeah.
I'm going to need therapy after this.
I know, right? Jeez.
It was like watching the, what is it? American, the one about Chris Watts, that piece of shit.
Oh, he's the worst. I watched that on Netflix and I cried.
I can't.
I did.
I'm too emotional right now. I can't do it.
Too much.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Don't
do it.
I'm crying at Lucifer. You guys, I'm.
Oh no! It's bad, you guys.
I know. I saw the season 4 finale of Lucifer. Warning: if you haven't seen it yet, don't listen to me. But Chloe finally tells Lucifer that she loves him. They kiss, and then he goes to hell. And I'm bawling my eyes out. So yeah, that's what's making me emotional. So yeah, I don't think I could handle that stuff right now. So I won't be watching it. Yeah,
don't. You take care of you, girl. Okay, you first. All right.
I have been watching. It's a lot. Yeah, so like we discussed this on our Down the Rabbit Hole episode. I watched that movie from like 1968 or something, Alice Sweet Alice. So I've kind of been watching old horror flicks like every day for like the month of October. That's kind of what I'm going to do. And I watched The Night of the Living Dead last night, and it was just so great. I mean, I hadn't seen it in forever. It's the old black and white from 1960 something. And God, the way the women were treated in that movie was just so hilarious. I'm just like, oh God. And that's how it
The
was
things they
back
got
then.
away with. Yep.
I know.
No problem.
No problem at all.
Sickening. It's
Uh-huh.
disgusting, really. It really
And
is.
then the middle one that I saw it was called The Evil. And it was pretty bananas too. It was kind of goofy, but it was good too. But dude, in every one of these movies so far, a dude is slapping a chick. Like, shut the fuck up,
What's
bitch. Like,
up with
and
that?
and she just looks at him like, oh, thank you for making me come to my senses. Like, it's so stupid.
I wonder if a man wrote the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
That's so
Jesus.
crazy. So stand by. I'll let you guys know what I watch next. Yeah, so that's my
That's funny.
All right, so my story I've wanted to do for you guys in forever. It's first of all, this is going to be done in a series as well. This is going to be done in parts because what I found is in parts, but I wanted to do this and I'm like, how am I going to go about it? Like, I can give you the definition of what this is. I can tell you like the history and blah. It's going to take me like 5 minutes. So what am I going to fill in for the rest of the story? I guess I can go and look up all these different experiences that people have had, this and that, but it's just, it's like, whatever. So I came across a series that was just on basically right when the pandemic happened. It was in March to June of 2020. It was on the History Channel, and it was called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
Ooh.
What is that?
Oh, you guys haven't heard of skinwalkers before?
Oh, I have.
I've heard of
Okay.
Skinwalker
Okay.
Ranch.
So yes, so this is a 10-episode kind of documentary thing. So I'm going to take you through this journey of Skinwalker Ranch. And so far I've seen 3 episodes. It's so damn good. OMG. So basically, remember when you did I can't stop this feeling. What was that, dude, again? Inside. Remember? What was that documentary that you did about that weirdo dude? It's gonna kind of be like that. You know, I'm gonna like be talking about what the guys are saying, like back and forth. So it's gonna be kind of like a little fun little skit, and it's gonna be fun. So, like I said, the documentary is called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. The documentary is filmed in 2019. What is a skinwalker? In the Navajo culture, they call it Yinalyoshi. Yinalyoshi. Okay? And what that means is by means of it, it goes on all 4s. So that's kind of giving you a little hint on what an actual skinwalker is.
Creepy.
So a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch that has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise himself as an animal. So it can turn itself into any type of animal. So in like Supernatural and all these like little horror movies and whatever, a skinwalker always decides, oh, I'm going to turn myself into a bird or this or that, whatever else. But mainly what they turn into is they turn into some type of wolf beast, like a wolf, but like a humongous, scary ass wolf. Okay. They believe it's a demonic shapeshifter. So the skinwalker is a form of a shapeshifter. They're demonic. And the Navajo also believe that the skinwalker were once medicine men who achieved the highest level of priesthood, but instead of using that for good, they decided to use it to cause harm on people. So they turned into a skinwalker. Okay, so that's the whole idea of what a skinwalker is. But what this documentary is, it starts off, you hear a man call a guy named Travis. He's like, he's on a walkie-talkie. He's like, Travis, where are you on the ranch? You got to get over here right away, man. You got to get over here. Oh, he's like, okay, I'm on my way. So they show Travis running through the fields, and he's breathing hard and whatever. And he comes up to this little area with some trees, and there's a lady there and a couple men, and they're just like staring at something on the ground, and they're like in disbelief. They're like, so you're like, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? So what there is there is a dead calf laying on the ground. Okay. There's no marks, there's no bites, there's no tracks coming in or out, so they have no idea how this animal was killed. There's no blood anywhere, and it's just totally, there's no blood coming from the animal, and there's no blood anywhere around the animal. And it's full of radiation, because he says, don't touch it until we check it out. And they're like, oh, well, too late. And he has this little meter thing out, and it's just going bananas. So they're like, what the frig? What the frig? Okay. So then it cuts off there, and then it says 12 weeks earlier. So now we're going all the way back 3 months, and we're going to Salt Lake City, Utah in May of 2019. Yeah. And it's so beautiful when they show the pictures. It's all in HD, and it's just so beautiful. So the name of this episode, this is episode 1. It's called Bad Things Happen When You Dig. Okay. So there's a huge office building, and a man walks into a fancy boardroom, and there's all these men sitting at a table, and we meet Dr. Travis Taylor. Okay. He's a fine doctor.
Oh, he's one of those
OMG. Oh, geez. And to top it off, he's from the University of Alabama in Huntsville, so he kind of has like a Southern twang when he talks. So it's so nice, right? So he's an astrophysicist, okay, with 25 years of experience with air and space defense, and he's worked with NASA and the Department of Defense of the United States of America. So in walks Brandon Fugel. Now this dude, OMG. He's the new owner of Skinwalker Ranch. So like he walks in, they're all shaking hands, they're saying hey, and they have the little subtitles up, and it says new owner of Skinwalker Ranch. And then we get to meet the team. So the first person we meet is Eric Bard. Eric Bard is the principal investigator. Then we meet Jim Sagala, PhD. He's a full-fledged scientist. Then we meet Tom Winterton. He is the ranch superintendent, and we're going to learn some stuff about Tom, let me tell you. And then we see Jim Morris. Jim Morris is the ranch manager. And last but not least, we meet Bryant Arnold, who's the head of security, and we are going to call him throughout this entire series Dragon. That's his
what?
He goes by Dragon.
Okay,
Dragon.
if you
Dragon.
say so.
Yep.
Oh, dragon.
Yeah, Dragon. And it cracks me
Like
up
the
because,
flame-throwing animal.
or on Step Brothers when they first meet, and he's like, "You can call me Dragon." I love that
That's
movie.
right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I love it.
Perfect. It's perfect.
So Brandon Fugel is the owner and chairman of the largest commercial real estate enterprise in Utah. As well, he is an investor and co-founder of many, many other enterprises that basically deal in technology. So this guy is richer than fuck, okay? He is so motherfucking rich, okay? Now, I know this is going to be really hard for you to guess, Red, but just listen up. He grew up in a middle-class family, mom, dad. He was one of 4 boys. They had a dog, and they had a very, very strong religious background in Salt Lake City, Utah.
I guess I'm going to go with Catholic
Nope.
for $500. Oh,
Nope.
no.
So he never comes out and says it, but we can all assume that he comes from the Mormon religious background. And he states, basically, because of my upbringing and my religious beliefs, I've come to the conclusion that there is more than meets the eye to our existence. And I'm still looking for the nature of the universe, and I'm studying these core questions. Where did we come from? Why are we here? And where are we going? So he has this disposable income to just throw out, and he's going to find the nature of the universe. So this is why
I'm also asking these same questions.
I know, right?
Maybe we should have dinner and talk
I know,
about
right?
these
Oh,
things.
geez. So he bought Skinwalker Ranch, and this is his idea that he's going to find these answers through this ranch, right? So he actually says that he goes, I believe that Skinwalker Ranch is the place where these questions can be answered or at least better understood. So he's just gung-ho, okay? And then he says to the team, this is going to be the most unique science project of its kind. So that's how he's looking at it, okay?
I love it. I love the passion.
Yes. He has a TV up. They're in the boardroom, and we see an aerial view of Skinwalker Ranch. He says it's 512 acres in the Uinta Basin, okay? The Uinta Basin is basically where the Ute Indian tribe and the Navajo tribe once lived in harmony, okay? So the ranch now is surrounded by Ute Indian tribal land, and this property actually goes back hundreds and hundreds of years, and there's been shit going down for hundreds of years, okay? So why is it called Skinwalker Ranch? Well, long ago, the Navajo cursed the land and called it the Path of the Skinwalker. And in the basin, there's a mountain range in the back. It's not a really big mountain range. It's just a really small mountain range. And they call that Skinwalker Ridge. So because of this curse of the land, this ranch was named Skinwalker Ranch.
I would never want to go to a place that any Indian tribe said was cursed. Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna pass.
Right. I know.
Mm-hmm.
In 1911, newspapers started reporting that people started to hear weird sounds coming from the basin. So that was the first kind of like, hey, there's something up here. The homesteaders that kind of settled there claimed they saw tons of unexplained phenomenon. And then in 1979 was the first documented UFO sighting in the basin. Oh. So you know where I'm going with this, okay? Because this is like a ranch that there's just all kinds of shit happening, okay?
I love it. Curses and aliens? Yes.
Aliens. Also in the basin, people claim to have acute medical episodes. So sometimes they just get nauseated for no reason. They get vertigo. They get temporary paralysis. And then Red's going to love this one. They get perception altering experiences.
That's weird because I get all of those in my own home. I don't have to go to this basin for any of those things to happen to me.
I get all this stuff too, or not the paralysis, but like the vertigo. My vertigo is bananas right now, you guys. It's not going away, so I don't know what's going on. In 1992, the Sherman family acquired the property. They began to witness the most disturbing events on record. They had daylight cattle mutilations, which is really weird because usually if your cattle's going to get mutilated, it's usually at night and it's done by an animal that wants to eat it. So this was daylight mutilations, which is very, very weird. These mutilations had surgically precise dissections of the body. Spinal columns were perfectly severed. Heads were removed cleanly. They were totally drained of blood, and they had no trace of blood anywhere, like trailing around the body.
That's so crazy
at all, right? Almost like the chupacabra, because the chupacabra would drain the blood. But it almost kind of reminds me of Jack the Ripper too, because they always thought that Jack the Ripper was a doctor. He had some type of medical training because everything was done so surgically nice with, like, it wasn't like, you know, like I'm killing you, you know, like,
like messy.
Yeah.
It was that real nice.
real nice and clean. The Sherman family lost 25% of their herd during this time.
Oh, that's awful.
Yikes.
So crazy. Because of the Sherman family's experiences, in 1996, billionaire Robert Bigelow acquired the property mainly to do an intense scientific study on the land. Okay. Now this guy was like billionaire. Okay. His team was the National Institute for Discovery Science, also known as NIDS, which then soon advanced to the Bigelow Aerospace Studies. So that was basically his own company. And it was funded by the US government. So this study, he got money from the government to do this study. And to this day, all his findings of this study are confidential and under lock and key, top secret by the government.
Oh, that
Yeah.
fills me with
Surprised.
rage because I want
you
the
believe that?
answers.
I have the
Yeah.
chills just because I know what's going to happen, but like, I'm like,
Oh.
ooh, yeah, okay. The study was staffed with dozens of professionals that in every field, you know, doing this whole study. And today, none of them want to ever step foot on this ranch for the rest of their lives. So I don't know what went down, but something went down. Okay, you guys.
Shit went down at the
Crazy.
ranch.
Yes.
Oh, this is interesting.
So then we bring this to now 2016, basically, and Brandon Fugel buys Skinwalker Ranch from the Bigelow program, okay? He has assembled a team to bring the investigation to the next level. So this is his little team. He wants to do an investigation. He's going to get down to the bottom of this. So with Eric Bard, he's the main investigator guy, by deploying advanced technology and monitoring every single event that happens on the ranch. So they got some banana shit because, you know, Brandon Fugel just has money to spend on whatever the fuck he wants to do, you guys. Okay. In January 2018, so this is 2 years after he bought the property, was the first time they actually captured something that was really, really crazy. And
it took 2 years?
Yeah, well, he probably bought the property and then he probably, you know, had to do a bunch of stuff, assemble the team and stuff before they could start actually, he had to buy all the stuff and whatever. So they probably maybe started investigating 2 years on in the thing.
Okay.
So the first thing was captured was now up on this little mountain ridge thing where they call Skinwalker Ridge. They caught on camera at night 500 feet section of this mesa, they call it a mesa. It just illuminated. It just like started glowing. And I have pictures. and this is,
that's what it looked like?
I don't know if you guys can see it.
Like,
wow, that's,
oh yeah.
All that top part right there, that straight line is the road. And then all that glowing on top right there is just, it's illuminated and they have no idea where the fuck that's coming from. Okay.
And
that
this happened at night? It just
Happened
all
at
of a sudden lit up.
Yep.
aliens.
And then they captured, you guys, this is so bananas. They captured pillars of light that appear to be coming out of the mesa and going straight up into the sky. Okay. So this is,
wow.
this is what they caught too.
They pull it back a little bit? That's crazy.
I
That
don't
is
know.
so
Yeah.
nuts.
It looks
like a UFO light coming down though. That's what
right.
it looks
No,
like
but
to
this
me.
is going from the ground up. It almost looks like, you know, those circle lights when we have like an event and they go up in the sky. It looks like that, but it's coming straight up, like a straight ass thing of light.
Like a big spotlight. Yeah.
Then they also caught a bright object that appeared in the western sky that traveled at a speed not typical to aircraft, and it disappeared behind the mesa. So what they did was they looked into all the commercial and private flight history, and there was nothing on record of anything going on in that area at that time. So they don't know where that, and they have a video of it, of this huge white light just kind of like flying through the sky super fast.
I wonder how fast it was going.
Well, if you look, if you see the video, it's fast, man. It's going fast. It's crazy fast.
Oh, I got to see this video. This is crazy.
So then it cuts to an interview with Tom. Okay, Tom is the ranch supervisor, and he says whenever we bring someone new onto the ranch, it immediately starts to act differently. So then we cut to May 2019. Okay, this is so funny. So also you kind of hear like an engine, like right. So it's Travis and Brandon. They're cruising downtown Salt Lake City, Utah, in Brandon's black Lamborghini, and they're just cruising, right? And Brandon turns to Travis. He says, "Hey, Travis, do you think I'm crazy?" And Travis is like, "Well, the stories are crazy, but just because they sound crazy doesn't mean that there's not something to it. So no, I
Right.
don't think you're crazy. It's very intriguing." And then Brandon goes, "Right? Are we alone in the universe?" And then it's all, and then they take off. So it's like,
Oh,
see what my money can buy. See what my money can buy.
with this black
I know,
Lamborghini.
it's so crazy. So they pull up to an airport hangar, and this electric door just slides open, right? It's this huge hangar, and it's like, whoa, and it's like heaven. It's like this white, beautifully clean hangar, shiny white floor, and you see a black helicopter to the left, and then you see a bright, shiny white private jet to the right. And he
Crazy
pulls his
town.
Lamborghini into the hangar, and they get out, and he's like, "Welcome to Aerodynamic." And then these two dudes start walking up to him. He goes, "I want you to meet my brothers." So he's like, "This is Cameron." So you meet Cameron Fugel. He's the CEO of Aerodynamic. And this is Matt. And then you meet Matthew Fugel. He's the operations guy at Aerodynamic. Travis goes, "Is this the helicopter that we're going in?" It's this huge friggin' black shiny, like perfect, right? And he's like, "Yeah, that's the Airbus H-130." And I'm like, "Okay." So Cameron is the helicopter operator. He's the pilot. So he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna fly at 10,000 feet. I'm gonna take you into the ranch." And like, Travis is like just thrilled to death. He's like, "Yeah." Okay, so next thing you see they're in the helicopter, and the helicopter's like sitting on this like kind of like platform thing. Oh, because you know, like if you're on a plane and you're in a hangar, you just drive the plane out, but there's no wheels on a helicopter. So it's sitting on this platform, and all of a sudden this platform just slowly starts motorizing out of the hangar with the helicopter on top of it.
Oh,
It flies
wow.
all the way out to like out in the open, and then they friggin' take off from the platform. Like, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like,
That is crazy.
this guy has money coming out of his asshole, you guys. It's like bananas. So they're in the helicopter, Travis and Cameron, and Travis asked Cameron, "Hey, what do you think of the ranch?" And Cameron goes, "Well, I used to think it was all foo-foo, but because of what I've experienced there might be actually something there." And he's like, "Now I always get the feeling like I just don't want to be there, and I don't go there." So this is like really a big deal for him to be flying Travis in to the ranch. But he's all, "My main concern is that we're safe going in and going out of the property, and that's it." So Travis was like, "Right on, dude. Yeah. You should be doing that, right?" And then he goes, and if you can see the look on Travis's face that during this, it's just hilarious. He's all, "You could do all you need to prepare for a safe flight. You can do your pre-flight checks. You can make sure your maintenance is right. But even then, there's some things out there that can go wrong. So for every flight, I like to say a little prayer. I keep it simple, and I'd love to do that if you're down for it." And Travis is like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." So they do their little prayer, and then they're still flying off. So now they're flying over the ranch. He's like, "Okay, we're here," and he's kind of like, Travis is like, "It's in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't look, unusual. It just looks like land, and it doesn't look like anything to really talk about." And Cameron goes, "Right there, that's Skinwalker Ridge." He's like, "Oh, that's where the mountain was glowing, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I usually don't fly over it because of the reports of the activity." So they're kind of flying along like parallel to it. And Cameron goes, "The scientists have cautioned me to be careful here due to the potential energy or disruption of the helicopter." So he says, "I stay away. I feel real uneasy when I fly over here, and I just don't like to do it." So it's like he doesn't even want to like go over in that direction, but he
I
does
wouldn't
it
either.
because I know, right? So they're flying over the homes, you know, the whole ranch, and he's like, all right, so there's homestead 1, there's homestead 2, there's homestead 3, and then it stops and it goes to like an interview with Brandon. Okay, so Brandon, he's like, a lot of activity seems to happen in and around the old homesteads. These are structures that are over 100 years old, and the activity is not only UFO related, it involves the full gamut of unexplained phenomenon that we continue to monitor. So not only is there UFO shit going on, but there's all kinds of other shit. Now I've only gotten to 3 episodes, so I don't know, but I think there's ghosts involved, which I can't wait. That's gonna be fun.
Well,
They
yeah.
land. There's a helipad right in the field. They land, and all the team walks out to meet them, and they're like, "Welcome to Skinwalker." So Travis is like, "Hey guys, whatever." So he walks up. He's like, "Hey, Dragon," and he shakes Dragon's hand. And then there's this little redhead guy. Well, he's not little. He's like totally buff, huge, tall guy. And he's like, "This is Caleb. This is my right-hand man." Now, if you notice, Caleb and Dragon are in like a type of uniform. They're dressed head to toe in black. They have a black baseball cap on. They have black gloves. They have black boots. They have sunglasses on. And they're holding a huge fucking rifle, like an automatic weapon, okay? And you're like, what the fuck? And it's so funny because I think they totally knew that this was going to happen, because you're like, what the fuck? Why do they have these guns, right? Pan to Dragon. Interview with Dragon. And he's all, "I'm Brian Arnold, and my main role here is head of security. The reason why we take security so serious here is we need to protect the scientific integrity of what's going on, protect the people, and, you know, Skinwalker Ranch piques people's interests, so a lot of people try and sneak onto the property. We carry weapons because we don't know what we're dealing with out there. It's a dangerous place between the natural things that we know of and the unknown." And he's like totally serious. Like, this dude is like taking his job like way serious, okay? So they get together like, "Okay, we're gonna take you for the tour." So they take him into command center. So they walk into this house, and there's pictures and objects and maps and everything around. They're like, "Yeah, this is stuff that we've collected over the past 2 years." And then Eric, the lead investigator guy, goes up to like a keypad and he starts entering this code. And then they walk into the nerve center. And as they walk in, it's just filled with TVs everywhere, computers. It's like this huge like command post. And Eric says, "Brandon entrusted me into the first phase of this investigation under his watch. The first phase is observation science." And he says, "What we're observing is the property, and what we're looking for is evidence of real phenomenon, that there is something that's here." So in the control room there, he says, we monitor everything 24/7. There's cameras all over the ranch. They have thermographic imaging cameras, and then they show that where it's like over the ridge and it's like all orange and like bright pink and green, so you can kind of tell like heat signatures if there's like an animal or something else out there. They have night vision equipment, and then they monitor the weather 24/7 because they want to know what's going on with the weather. And then Eric personally built, he's like, "What's that over there?" Travis like, "What's that?" He's like, "Oh, that's Satan." So what it looks like is, it looks like an iPad on like a silver metal tripod. And he's like, "I built this. It's an acronym. So it stands for Sentinel Assignment, Telemetry, and Notification." Okay, so this is total scientist talk here. But basically what it does is it measures vibrations in the ground, and it records sound that is below the frequency of human hearing. So this thing is like constantly recording all this stuff and sending it to the computers, and they're doing all their stuff. Then they also have a monitor that has an avionics receiver on it, which basically it receives all the aircraft that's flying over the ranch, and the number that's on their tail will pop up on the screen, so they know it's either a commercial flight or a private plane or whatever, so that if something pops up and that doesn't pop up, they know that that's not like a plane. So they're like constantly monitoring that as well. Okay, so the 5 of them then get into this badass utility terrain vehicle. I had to look that up because they said we're going to get into the UTV, and I'm like, what's a UTV?
Yeah.
I think they're called rhinos, but this is all like enclosed, like it has doors and roof and all that stuff. And Travis like, I got shotgun. And then Tom goes, you're about to see some really cool stuff. So they're cruising, they're gonna go up to the mesa, and then Tom goes, well, before we go there, I want to show you something. Are you cool? Are you cool with that? He's like, sure. So they pull up to what looks like a big, like there's 3 separate pens, and these are the pens that they would keep the cattle in when the Sherman family was there. So then it goes back to Brandon, and we're going back to Brandon, like an interview with Brandon. And he says, everything that I've researched relative to the Sherman family leads me to believe that they were subject to such an intense amount of disturbing activity. They experienced everything from UFO sightings to countless cattle mutilations. They had beasts and entities that would appear to them on a daily basis. And I really don't blame them for selling the property. They were basically terrorized. So back to the pens. Jim Segala, who's the scientist, he starts telling the story. So he said a very large wolf came off the plains and onto the property. There was this one little pen in the middle that had a bunch of little calves in it. And he stuck his head in the pen, and he started trying to pull one of the calves out. Well,
No.
the Sherman saw this happening, so Daddy Sherman came running out with a .357, and he starts shooting it. He puts 6 shots into it. It doesn't fucking do a thing. It still wants that fucking calf, right? So then Dragon starts to tell the story, and he's saying, so then he went and got a bigger weapon, and he came out and he shot 2 shots, and it let go and it took off. So they went running after it through the whole ranch. And as they got to the river, they noticed that the tracks went down to the river and up through the mud, and then they just disappeared. And they said it was almost like it just vaporized into nothing. They had no idea where it went, and they couldn't track it from there. But whatever it was, it took 8 bullets for it to stop, not die, stop. So then back to the UTV, they head off to the mesa, and it's so beautiful, you guys. So it's just like a mountain. It's just like all rocky and beautiful. And Travis, as they're driving up to it, Travis goes, so has any of you guys seen a skinwalker, like cruising the ridge or anything? And Eric goes, no, I haven't. And Travis goes, have you talked to anyone that has claimed to have seen it? And they're like, oh yeah, Jim Morse. And all of a sudden Travis turns around and goes, what? And he's like, yeah, that's right. They're just like, one of their team, he saw this thing, and they're just like, oh yeah, Jim saw one. So now we go to Jim Morse's. Yeah, now we go to Jim Morse's, and this guy is a hoot. So he's wearing kind of like a Crocodile Dundee hat.
I love it.
I know. He has one of those like poncho vests kind of thing on, and then he has like a denim shirt under it. And so he's sitting there, and he's like, when you talk about the curse of the land, this goes way back to like the mid 1800s to like 1860. So the Utes and the Navajo. Now, there's a funny thing. Whenever I read Utes, it totally reminds me of my cousin Vinny, where he's like, the 2 Utes.
2 Utes.
He's like, what?
The 2 Utes.
So the Utes and the Navajo crossed each other. Unfortunately, the Utes enslaved the Navajo, and this started a big war between the two. So the Navajo then cursed the land, and from that day on, it was known as the Path of the Skinwalker, the shape-shifting spirit. Now, Jim goes, I didn't want to believe that this phenomenon was real. But one night I was out with a guard, and we were kind of just combing the land, and we got up to the ridge, and he was carrying one of those infrared lamps. And as he was combing the rocks, he said all of a sudden they saw these two big red eyes up on the ridge, and it kind of just stared at them for a while, and then it disappeared. And he was like, okay. And then you go, so they kind of do like a simulation, two little goofy red eyes up on the mountain, it's like, and he's all, call me what you will, but I'm personally not comfortable out here, even with my security background as a military police officer. I will not be out here alone, especially in the dark of night. And that's where I'm going to leave it, you guys.
Damn. Oh,
yes.
Okay. So if I want to watch this, because it's very interesting,
don't watch it.
I can only watch up to 3. I'm saying I can only watch it up to the 3rd episode.
Okay. So this is what I just talked to you guys about, is like barely through episode 1.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh.
Yes.
That's all I need to know. I just want to.
The next episode will be the rest of episode 1 and then episode 2 and maybe a little bit of episode 3. Don't go past episode 3.
I'll only do 1. I don't even have time for more than that.
It's on Amazon. It's not free. You have to pay for it. I bought the whole season. It was $20. So yeah, it's worth it to me. So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yes,
Skinwalker Ranch. I know, right?
Damn, that was so good.
There's so many ghost shows that have also gone out there and actually investigated it. So I might get into that a little bit too in the end to see what people found. One that I especially like is called Portals to Hell, and that's with Jack Osborne and Katrina. And when you got Ozzy Osbourne money, you can do whatever the fuck you want. So I don't think anybody else besides him and Zach Bagans could go out there to do the investigation, but they're like out there, like staying on the ranch, like spending a night, and then they're out there in the middle of the night investigating, and they do find some real crazy shit. More of like on the UFO alien side, but yeah, it's bananas. So I know, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it because it's gonna take us through this whole journey of investigation, and they're gonna like hit every point that we want them to hit. So it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
How many episodes are we talking?
10. There's
10. Okay. All right. Bad things happen when you dig, baby.
Yes.
Oh, and I didn't even get to that part about the digging. They're going to talk about digging because bad things happen when you dig. So stand by.
Dig it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Are you ready for the
badass story of the week?
I try to catch up.
I know, I kind of slowed down.
It's all right. It is what it is, guys. We're zooming. What do you want from us?
I know, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? All right. So thank you, Red, for sending me this amazing, beautiful story.
Yay!
My goodness. I thought like, okay, I'm an emotional wreck now, but
oh no.
This kid is 16 years old. His name is Kanan Bauer. He is from New Mexico, and he is a little badass, and I'll tell you why. So there was an attempted kidnapping going on, where he's across the street and he hears like a commotion, and he's like, that's weird, something's going on over there, and he's paying attention. And basically this guy, last name is Arroyo, is trying to kidnap this woman's children. She has a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. And so he's grabbing the 2-year-old and then telling her, give me your kids. And she's screaming, and he actually gets into a physical fight with her. He punches her in the face. He like is being aggressive and mean, and you see it on video, and it's like heartbreaking because you do nothing but fight, right? As a parent, you have little kids, you have no choice but to fight and hope that other people can help you if you can't do it on your own. But if somebody's trying to jack my kid, and I've got like the 1-year-old and the 7-year-old, and like you got all these kids, what are you gonna do? You can't hold them all.
Oh
right?
My God. That's
and like unfortunately, men are inherently stronger than women. So man, I don't know what would happen. Luckily, Kanan was across the street. He was like, I'm gonna go check it out, right? So he drives his truck across the street, and at this point, the mom was able to get her kids and rush into like the liquor store, and then he pulls his truck up, and the guy, the kidnapper, runs into the store following her. He's not done. She got away, but he's not done.
Motherfucker.
So yeah, so Kanan runs in, and you see this all on video, right? He runs in, there's blood on the floor. No reason, no idea why there's blood. I think she might have had a bloody nose. I'm not 100% sure. But there's blood on the floor. And so he goes in, and he basically, now he is a wrestling champion, right, for his high school, 16 years old, 285 pounds. This kid is no baby. He's like 6 feet tall.
Boy. Yeah.
He is a big boy. So like he's standing, you see a picture of him standing in the liquor store, and like his head is like way over all the D's and stuff. You know?
He's big.
He's a real big boy, 285 pounds. Wow. But he basically takes his wrestling moves and pins this motherfucker down.
He takes him down.
He pins him down.
And this is all the video. You can see him do
yes.
this.
So, yeah, you can. Yeah. So he holds him down until sheriffs are able to get there and take care of this motherfucker. So kudos to Kanan. Oh my God, my heart just like broke into a million pieces for him. Yes. I'm in love with this kid. And here's the cool part. He had no idea, right? He just says, you know, when you see something wrong, just always be the person that does something. That's what he said. You need to be the person that does something to help the situation. And so he was raised right. He did those things. And Dana White, the UFC owner, heard about this and just like gave him kudos. And like this story went viral. Yeah. You know, so the whole world knows about him. This kid's been interviewed, like he said he had like 2 interviews a week, and he just really was not expecting all of that, you know, but
you could tell it made him uncomfortable. He's like, I just try to help. Like, what's the big deal? It's crazy.
I know, but I love him so much. So yes, we love you, Kanan. Great job.
Yes, great job. I think what's crazy about this story too, Dre, is this guy comes out of nowhere, right? He's trying to take these kids, and there are people like around, right, the liquor store, and they're trying to help, but can't help. And on video, when you see him, there's no hesitation. That's what's so badass. Like, watch the video. There's no hesitation. He goes in. He lays that motherfucker out. Oh, my God. I love this story.
So cool.
I know. And he even said, like, he was worried because he saw the blood on the floor, and he was like, is there a knife involved? Is there a gun involved? What's going on? But he didn't hesitate. He just he knew he had to pin this fool down. So and then don't forget, he's big as hell, but he's 16 years old.
Yes, that's a baby. You're a baby.
Yeah, he's our baby. He's like our babies. You know.
Yes. So I love this story. I really do. Check out the video.
Good. Yeah, it's so good. That's so cool. Yay, that was awesome.
Yay, I love that badass story of the week.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, hit us up on Instagram, Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We are doing some TikToks. TikTok still?
Yeah, still alive.
We love getting messages from everyone. We can be emailed at handcuffsandsage@gmail.com. And then we have a website, handcuffsandsagepodcast.com. So check out all of those things. Can you think of anything else I probably missed? I always miss something. Page. We got a Patreon page. We're putting together a fun raffle. I got these, fun little things coming out. So that'll be fun. We'll probably talk about it next week. Okay. Because I'll have them all together, and I think it's so excited. So excited. Lots of good things. Yay.
Yeah. You ready?
Oh my God. Okay. And remember, we do what we want. Woo!
Yeah. Yeah, baby.
Okay. All right, talk to y'all later.
All right,
guys.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. Handcuffs and Sage is hosted by Red, Timo, and Trey in a shitty guest room in Los Angeles.
Theme music is Leave Now by We Are Wasted. Cover art done by Megan Winchester.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Show us some love on iTunes. Be a badass and do what you want. Until next time.